In this detailed example, we're going to look at how to make a bivariate table using Excel. And we're going to use a random sample of 20 cases from the 2012 General Social Survey to look at the relationship between health and happiness. So we can start by basically highlighting all the variables that we don't want to use in this detailed example and hiding them. And then once we've done that, what we can do is we can sort the data by our remaining variables, health and happiness. And so if we just go to the data ribbon, we can hit sort, and we can basically just add a level so that we have two levels. And we can first sort by health, and then within the values of health, we can sort by happiness. And we'll click OK. So now if we go back to our data, we can see that the Excel has sorted the data from lowest to highest by values of health, and then within values of health, from lowest to highest within values of happiness. And so, for example, here are the values of 1 for health, and they're sorted from lowest to highest within happiness. Same thing is true for values of 2 or values of 3 of health. Okay, now that we've sorted the data in this fashion, we can basically count the different combinations of cases falling into each category of health and happiness. But before we do that, it would help us to know what are the different meanings of the codes used for health and happiness. Well, I know from the code book that health is coded in the following way. Excellent health is given a code of 1. Good health is given a code of 2. And then fair health is given a code of 3. And then for happiness, very happy is code 1, and pretty happy is code 2. And so we basically just have to figure out how many different combinations that we have here. And so if we have 2 possible combinations for happiness and 3 for health, overall we have 6 different combinations of the 2. And so we could have people who are in excellent health, who are very happy, or we could have people who are in excellent health who are pretty happy, or we could have people who are in good health who are very happy, or good health and pretty happy. Or we can have people who are in fair health who are very happy, or people who are in fair health who are pretty happy. And so there's 6 different possibilities. We just have to use the sorted data to count how many fall into each of these different combinations. So let's start with people who are in excellent health who are very happy. So they're going to be coded 1 on health and 1 on happiness. And so going up to my sorted data, I can see that there's 2 people in that category. So that frequency is going to be equal to 2. What about the people who are pretty happy who are in excellent health? So they're going to be coded 1 and 2. And so you can see they're coded 1 on health, 2 on happiness. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those people. So I'll give this a value of 5. What about the people who are very happy and who are in good health, who are going to be coded 2 on both? And so you can see, 1 on happiness, 2 on health. So there's 1 of those people. What about the people who are of good health and pretty happy, coded 2 on both? There's 10 of them. And so I'm going to give this a value of 10. And what about people who are in fair health, coded 3, who are very happy, coded 1? Well, you can see that of the people who are in fair health, none are coded 1, and so there's 0 of them. What about the people who are in fair health, but who are pretty happy? Well, there's 2 of those. And so we now have all the frequencies that we need to create our bivariate table. And so suppose we made happiness our dependent variable, and we made health our independent variable. So health is going to be our column variable. And so we can have values of health, excellent, good, and fair running down the columns, and then values of happiness running down the rows. And so we can have here very happy and pretty happy. And we just have to fill in the different cells using these frequencies that we counted using the sorted data. And so first we're looking for people in excellent health who are very happy to put this cell's value. And so these are these 2 people. What about people who are in good health who are very happy? Well, there's only 1 person like that. What about people who are in fair health who are very happy? Well, there's nobody in that category. So we're going to put a 0 here. And then what about people who are in excellent health who are pretty happy? Well, you can see that there's 5 of those, so we'll put a 5 here. What about those people who are in good health who are pretty happy? Well, you can see that the majority, 10 of the 20 people, are in that category. And then what about people who are in fair health who are pretty happy? Well, that's just these 2 people. And so we've basically populated each of the cells of the table. But we also have to include the totals, or the marginals. And we can have both a row total and a column total. And so we can just add those. And we can do that by taking the sum either across the columns or down the rows. So if we put in the sum of these 2 values, we're going to get the column total, or the number of people who are in excellent health. And then we can do the same thing for people who are in good health and people who are in fair health. And so here we see that we have 7 people in excellent health, 11 in good health, and 2 in fair health. We can also get a row total by doing the same thing. We're just going to add across the rows. And so we have 3 people who are pretty happy. And then if we drag this down, we have 17 people who are pretty happy. So 3 very happy, 17 pretty happy. And then if we take the sum of either the row total or the column total, we're going to get the grand total, in this case 20 cases. And so at this point we can do a few things to make the aesthetics of this table just a little bit nicer. So for one thing, we could put this health in the middle of these categories, and we can do that basically by going up to the home in the home ribbon and merging these cells across and making sure that this is center aligned. We can also center align some of these elements. That looks a lot better. We can add a title to this, and so if we just kind of scroll across all the cells spanning the length of the table, and then if we go to merge across, we can put in table 1 bivariate frequency of health by happiness. And then we can do the same thing here to put the source information. So we'll just highlight the cell spanning the length of the table. We'll go up here to where it says merge across, and then we'll put in our source, GSS 2012. Okay, one last thing I'd like to add is just some horizontal lines to give the table just a little bit more of an aesthetic quality. So again, if we just kind of go up to borders, we can add more borders, and we can add a top border and a bottom border. And that just gives the table kind of a little bit of a nicer look. And so again, if you just kind of highlight these cells, you can copy and paste them into a Word document. And we have a fairly nice looking bivariate frequency table of health by happiness. And so in terms of the actual patterns that we see, we can see that basically most people in this table seem to be in good health who are pretty happy. So 10 of the 20 are in good health and pretty happy. There's also a sort of a large number of people who are in excellent health who are pretty happy. But there's very few people, for example, who are in fair health who are very happy. None of those. And really a minority of people who are very happy who are in excellent health. And so we can see a variety of different patterns from this table. Okay, advancing this detailed example forward just a little bit. Now what we want to do is we want to figure out whether there's some kind of a relationship between the variables health and happiness. And so we can do that by basically turning these frequencies into percentages. And we have several different percentages that we could choose from. For example, we could divide each of these cell frequencies by the total number of cases, and then multiply them by 100 to get the cell percentage. Alternatively, we can divide each of these respective cell frequencies by the row total to get the row percentage. Or we can divide each of these cell frequencies by the column total to get the column percentages. And so actually the column percentage is the right choice in this case. That's what's going to tell us the distribution of the values of the dependent variable, happiness, across the values of the independent variable, health in this case. And so what we can do basically is just take our table and we can copy and paste it. And we'll just change a few things about the table to indicate that we're going to turn this into a percent table. And so we'll change this from table 1 to table 2. And then we'll just change the word frequency to percentage, or just percent if you want. Okay, so now what we can do is just basically turn these different columns into column percentages. And so first, let's just add another row to the table by inserting a row. We want to keep these values for future reference in case we ever want to replicate from our percent table our frequency table. And so this will be a total, but now this will be a percent total, and this will just be an n, a number of cases. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, let's just get rid of these values. And what we're going to do basically is that we're going to take and make this equal to the cell frequency divided by the column total multiplied by 100. And we're going to want to do this for every cell. So notice that in this cell, the total is being referenced by cell N19. And we want to use that total to make all of our column totals for this first column, or our column percentages, I should say. And so what we want to do is go into this formula and make sure that that value is fixed. So I'm going to put a $ in between the N and 19 to make sure that it's fixed. And then I can just kind of scroll this down. And notice that the sum is also retained here. And so this is going to be the sum of these two values. So it adds up to 100%. And of course there's 7 cases here, so I should write down 7. And I can basically do this for all of the categories of health as well as the total. And so if I just kind of drag this over, it's going to give me the cell frequencies, cell column percentages, I should say, for the values of health and for the total. And then if I just go up here to number, I can change the number to 2 decimal places, click OK, and that's going to give it just a slightly better looking format. And so I should add the total number of cases falling into each category. This one's 11, and this one is 2, for a total of 20. And now I have all the information to see whether there's some kind of a relationship between the two variables, health and happiness. And I also have the original column frequencies, so I can replicate from this table back to this table to get the frequencies from a percent distribution. And so what do I see here? How do I know whether there's any kind of relationship between the variables? Well, let's just look at those people who are very happy. So you can see that a higher percentage of people who are very happy are in excellent health, 28.597%, as opposed to good health, as opposed to fair health. And it looks like if you look at the people who are pretty happy, there's a higher percentage who are in fair health versus good health versus excellent health. And so there seems to be some kind of a positive relationship between health and happiness. So people who are in better health also report being more happy, and vice versa. And that's what we'd expect. We'd think that as health increases, so does happiness. So the percent differences here are non-zero, indicating that there's some relationship. There seems to be more of a tendency for people in higher health to have higher values of happiness, and people who have bad health to have lower values of happiness. So we could say that there's some relationship here, and it seems to be a positive relationship.